Let's talk overhead pressing during pregnancy. And I personally don't program things like a barbell overhead press or military press, a seated dumbbell overhead press, or basically anything that has you pressing vertically overhead with both arms during pregnancy. Now, some people may agree with me on this, others may not. Personally, when training pregnant clients, I typically stay away from these types of movements and use other variations to target the same movement pattern and muscles. And here's why. So my main reasons for this have to do with range of motion and mobility. And even in the non-pregnant population, very few people even have sufficient mobility and range of motion to be able to press overhead without compensating either through their lower back or hyperextending through their spine, or having the bar path travel slightly forwards rather than vertically. Now, the typical reason for this has to do with limited mobility through your thoracic spine, which is often due to our lifestyles and spending a lot of time over a computer, driving on our phones. This has most people rounded through their thoracic along with tight pecs. Then of course you have tight lats being another reason, and why these happen are interconnected. So unless you have some type of musculoskeletal issue, both are usually lifestyle factor driven. And because our lats insert at the front of your shoulder, if they're tight, they can add to that kind of forward shoulder, rounded thoracic, tight pec trio, which all affect your ability to press overhead. And when you add pregnancy into the mix where you have a change in center of gravity due to the weight of the baby, and this causes anterior pelvic tilt, then to counteract this or counterbalance this, your upper back or your thoracic tends to round. Then of course you have the extra weight on the front of your body from the weight of the baby and your enlarged breast kind of pulling everything forwards. And you can't forget that your spine is going to be more mobile and less stable than usual due to your hormones and your abdominal stretching. So you can kind of see how the pregnant body almost compounds the usual reasons why people struggle with overhead pressing. And then of course you can't forget that one of the things that you also want to try and avoid when training during pregnancy is hyperextending through the spine. And this is due to the pressure that this places on the abdominal wall if intra-abdominal pressure is not correctly contained. So if you're not correctly containing intra-abdominal pressure and you're hyperextending through the spine, you'd also likely find that your abdominals are peaking, and that's something that we want to try and avoid as much as possible during pregnancy. So it's for all of these reasons why I personally don't program things like a barbell overhead press or military press or a seated dumbbell overhead press during pregnancy. But that's not to say that I don't do any vertical pressing at all, because I absolutely do. And I love half kneeling single arm variations for the added core and anti-rotation component that this creates, along with the structural component of helping correct any kind of muscular or strength imbalances between your left and right side. So there's loads of reasons for that. And I use the landmine a lot in standing, tall or half kneeling positions for many of the same reasons, but also because of the curved pressing angle of the landmine, you're pressing up and out. So the shoulder is in a stronger, more stable position than pressing straight up. You don't have to contend so much with all of the other kind of potential risks that the traditional overhead pressing exercises have. And you can't forget the 45-degree incline is another great alternative. So there's many variations that you can use when it comes to training this particular movement pattern during pregnancy. I will always challenge you to think of the reasons why you're programming it and whether or not there is an alternative that might be better suited to the pregnant body. Remember, it's such a short window of time that weighing the short-term benefit versus the potential long-term cost should always be at the forefront of your mind. So that's it from me today. I hope this video helped. And of course, if you'd like more in-depth pregnancy-specific content, feel free to join my complimentary but private community. The link is in my bio.